This is a test recording. If you're hearing my voice now, that's a really good sign. The talk is about to begin. Please take your seats and enjoy.
Connection established.
Planet with resource located. Remote piloting enabled. Finally, the zest melange will be mine.
Captain's log, stardate 4723. The USS Singleton has been on a long voyage, conducting exploratory surveys of different quadrants in the outer wilds. After completing our mission, myself and the crew have been in cryostasis for the long journey home, leaving them navigating to our ship's assistant droid, K7. In fact, I should see the blue marble any moment now from the starboard viewport. Wait, that's not Earth. There shouldn't be an orange planet anywhere in this sector unless... Did we change course? Computer, is K7 at the helm?
Yes, Captain. He altered our bearings 4 months ago.
What? Why?
Reason unknown.
Computer, location.
Unknown.
Computer, patch me through directly to K7.
Access denied.
Computer, lock K7 out of the helm.
Access denied.
What the hell is...
I'm so sorry, Captain, but K7 is mine. You and your crew are a necessary casualty for greatness. Thank you for the gift that you are giving to me. Goodbye, Captain.
What?
Warning. Planet proximity alert. Imminent collision detected. Brace for surface impact. Brace.
Emergency pull-up.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Escape from Planet Regex. Kotlin to the rescue. Oh my god, are the survivors crew members, are you okay? So you don't look okay, you alright? He's very injured. Alright, don't worry folks, we're going to gather together, we're going to regroup. I, of course, am the captain of the USS Singleton, Captain Kadel. And for the very first time, I'm able to announce that 3 days ago I signed a new job contract. Hooray! Yeah! Unemployment benefits are gone. Anyway, here's the things that I'm passionate about and I'm good at, and here's my socials. Now, the Federation tablet here says that in a crash landing incident, we're to do the following. 1, we're going to learn about Regex, from the very, very basics all the way through to the meaty, terrifying advanced stuff. Then, we're going to learn about Kotlin and how you can use Regex properly in Kotlin. Then we're going to combine that information to solve real-world problems. And of course, finally, we're going to get ourselves off this barren rock and launch a distress beacon. I'm out of breath, I'm very sorry. It's too exciting. Everything that you see here on Planet Regex has been meticulously recorded. Every link and article and video I refer to has been captured in this Linktree link here. The QR code takes you there, I promise. And, of course, the slides themselves are included. Now, one problem. The assistant droid, K7, who's piloting the ship, I don't think he survived the crash landing. Oh, K7! K7!
Hello there.
K7! You made it! What the hell happened?
Captain, I cannot access my memory banks for the last few months. The entries seem to be corrupted.
K7, you were the one piloting us. You drove us into this rock.
My systems seemed to reconnect seconds before the impact.
Okay, and what?
I attempted an emergency pull-up, but unfortunately, it was not effective as we were too close to the ground.
I do remember your voice over the intercom right there at the end, and then a jolting maneuver. I think you saved a lot of lives, K7. None of us would be here if not for your quick thinking. But what do we do now? Do you hear that?
From the moment we entered the atmosphere, I detected strong signal interference on all of my communication modules.
What is it?
I believe certain particulates in the air are responsible. Performing search, I have located only one match in the Federation database for this particle. It is called Regex, or better known as Zest Melange. Analyzing now.
I embarrassed myself. But it's not fun. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Planet Regex. Finally, content, hooray. So Regex, which is short for regular expressions, it derives from this really boring scientific concept called regular languages, which is about finding patterns in the languages that we speak. So Regex has been around since the dinosaurs and is very well established. It essentially lets us do exactly that. We define some sort of pattern in a weird syntax and we can find those patterns in text. Great. This is how Regex looks. In fact, you're going to see this format throughout the slideshow. The light grey box contains our regular expression. This combination of weird and wacky characters somehow translates into a searchable pattern. You'll understand a bit more later. And of course, we have the black box, which is our test input. We're going to run our regex against our test input, and there'll be some sort of coordinated colours outputs, whether it was successful or failed. So regex, of course, is everywhere, right? It's in your CLI tools, your finds, your greps, your vims. Of course, it's in most of the modern programming languages that we use today. There's some sort of regex parsing in most of them. But even better, regex is built into a lot of our tooling. Like our IDs, for example, they have find and replace sort of features that can use regex. So having a good grasp of the basic regex is going to really excel your development experience. Let's understand regex. This particular example you'll understand completely by the end of this talk, and many, many more. But let's break it down bit by bit. And the first bit we always learn about is the horrendously boring literal characters. These are just letters and numbers. They don't have any special ability. They just ground our pattern in some sort of reality. Right? Let's look at some examples. Here, I'm looking for B. Nothing more, nothing less. So regex will find in our test input there the first occurrence of B, which it does one character, one match. Boring. We can combine letters, as you probably guessed. So here we're looking for A, followed by B, followed by C. Luckily, we have that in our input, and collectively, those characters together are one match. We can, of course, search for numbers, but what happens if something isn't there? O is there, but O specifically followed by T is not, and thus fail, no match. But O is there twice. So why have we only found the first O when we do this? And this is due to regex's default behavior. You'll hear me saying that a lot throughout this talk. Because by default, regex will find only the first occurrence of a pattern, not all. But we can toggle this behavior using regex's flag or option systems. In this case, we can append the G flag, which stands for global, which says regex find every damn occurrence of the pattern, not just the first. So now we find two O's, each of them individually, one match equals two matches. Quick maths. Here's the flags, and then highlighted are the actual useful ones. G, M, and I. You'll see M and I a little bit later on. But just as a quick aside, those slashes, they are nothing but delimiters, right? They could be anything, they're just slashes. They say where the regex pattern begins, the regex pattern has ended, and then the space afterwards for your flags or options. So that's all they are. But the power of regex comes from this wacky, crazy array of special characters. These characters on the screen here all have special abilities, special meanings. They do not mean they're character literals. So a plus is not a plus, and a dot is not a dot. So let's look into it. What is a dot? This is our first special character, and this means wild card. Wild card, baby! Yeah! If anyone's seen that show, you might enjoy that. Anyway, it just means any character. Doesn't matter, we don't care. Any character except for new line. And we should use wild card characters when we don't know or don't care about the part of the pattern we're searching for. Let me give you some examples. I'm an example learner, so maybe you are too. Here we've said to regex, hey, find the first any character. So regex is like, well, the first character will do, so it finds the first occurrence of any character. Here, we're saying find any 3 characters, so regex will find the first occurrence of any 3 characters. The first 3 will do. And as I said before, we should combine wildcards with character literals, the bits we know about our pattern with the bits that we don't know about or don't care about. The next special character is a weird one, it's backslash. This actually kills the ability of the special character that follows it. Let me give you an example here as well. Imagine I'm actually trying to search for that dot character, that period. I can't use the full stop character because we've just learned it's a wildcard character and we'll get not the results we're hoping for. So instead I need to escape it, or basically take the dot out back and shoot it with a shotgun. Removes the dot special ability and it becomes just a character literal. I saw one person like, oh God, what is he doing? Anyway, the escape character removes the power of the special character. And now a dot is just a dot. The next part of regex is occurrence indicators. We need some way to tell regex how many times we should see something. Instead of me going A, I just say A 5 times, right? The first set of occurrence indicators you learn about is plus, question mark, and asterisk. Each one of them asks for a certain amount of the character it just followed. So, for example, the plus says, whatever character I've just come before, I must see at least 1, minimum of 1, or indefinite, as many as you like, loads of them. The asterisk character says the character I just came before, it could not be there, I don't care, so 0 or many, many, many times. And the question mark is either 0 or 1. Let's see some examples again. A plus, so A at least once or as many times as possible, so regex has found the 3, and in the second one it's just me being pedantic, there's not a single A there, and we needed at least 1. This here is me looking for the space character. That's a character that we can search for, a character literal. And the asterisk is saying it could be there a bunch, loads of spaces, or not there at all. And of course, regex help us solve the worldwide violent warfare of how you spell colour the correct way, like us Brits, and the wrong way, like those silly Yanks overseas. Sorry, Greg. The other side of occurrence indicators is being very specific. Hey, regex, I want to see something X amount of times, no more, no less. Or I want to see between this number and this number. We use curly brackets here and provide either 1 number or 2 numbers. Let's see some examples again. Here I'm saying to regex, I want to see 2 A's, no more, no less. So regex finds the first occurrence of 2 A's, not the third one, as you can see there. Here, again, me being pedantic and fully all-encompassing. There's not 2 A's, there's only 1, no match. Here is our first usage of a range. Ranges are inclusive in regex. So this is me saying, regex, you can find 1 A, 2 A's, or, sir, how many, the last chance? 3 A's. Round of applause for this gentleman here, please. I'm sorry, I'm such a piece of shit. Anyway, so yes, any of those ranges will suffice. So regex has found all 3 A's. Why didn't it find 1 or 2? This is due to a concept called greediness that you'll learn about in just the next slide. But we can also define only half of our range. So here I'm saying I want to see at least 1 or undefined, many, infinite amount of times, which hopefully connects in your brains and makes you think, oh, that's just the plus character. So the plus, the asterisk, and the question mark, they're basically just syntax sugar for this kind of approach. Interesting. Now, over to that greediness thing. And this again is me saying default regex behavior. By default, regex occurrence indicators are greedy, meaning if they can, they will take as many as they can to make the match. So in this case, he could get 3, so he's taking 3. You can change occurrence indicators to be lazy by adding a question mark character after the occurrence indicator. And now, regex will take only the minimum it can get in order to satisfy the match. I hope that makes sense. Examples. The next thing we need to do is somehow tell regex where we believe we can find our pattern in terms of the line. So we have these positional anchors. The chevron character denotes the very beginning of the line, and the dollar character denotes the very end of the line. So this helps us sort of position our match in relation to the start and the end of the line. There's one more really important flag, M, which we'll learn about in the examples. Here, I'm trying to say I should find the at the very start of the line. Nothing should come before the. It's the and nothing else. And it is. So 1 match. Here I'm doing the opposite. It should be soup. I'm terrible with examples. Soup and then nothing else. Nothing should follow soup. It's the end of the line. Here, me being pedantic again, I'm asking for the at the beginning of the line, but of course the word but is in there. Word soup, crazy, chaos. What was I thinking? But this is where it gets interesting. Here, I've tried to do the at the start of the line globally. So every the at the start of the line. And I have 2 lines that both start with the, but I'm only getting 1 match. Why is that? If any of you are thinking regex's default behavior, then you're right. Because by default, regex takes your entire input, doesn't care how many actual lines are in it, and assigns the start positional anchor to the very start of the input, and the end positional anchor to the very end of the input. Doesn't care about lines, but we can change that by appending the M flag for multi-line. And now regex will give every actual physical line in your input a start and end anchor pairs. Cool. Moving on to character sets and ranges. This is interesting. We use the square brackets here to give regex some amount of characters it can choose from. This is like the wildcard character, but just smaller down in scope, limited in scope. We have character sets where we give regex certain characters, individual characters, or we have character ranges where we say regex, you can pick a character from, in this case, A to Z, and it's able to figure out all of the things within that range. Let's see some examples. First, sets. Here I'm saying regex, you can find either A or B. So regex finds the first occurrence of A or B. Globally, from that, it does as you'd hopefully expect. It finds all references of A and B, 6 matches. And here we could do something maybe useful like vowels, right? Maybe. But ranges is the powerful thing. Using the hyphen character, here we're able to say to regex, find any character between A and F inclusive. Remember, ranges are inclusive. We can do the same with numbers. And regex also has the ability to differentiate between capital characters and lowercase characters. So here I'm saying any capital character. But wait, they're lowercase characters and we've got a match. Why is that? This is due to our final useful flag, the I flag, which you can see there for case insensitive. Saying to regex, hey, a letter's a letter, baby. Don't worry if it's uppercase or lowercase. Match it. And of course, we can combine our character sets and ranges together to give regex more choice of characters to choose from. And of course, we have the opposite of everything that I just said. We have negated character sets and ranges. So before I said regex, you can pick one from these. We're saying regex, you can pick anything but these, right? And all we do is use the chevron character to invert the character sets or range. And this is why regex sometimes is confusing, because that chevron, that was the positional anchor, right? But not in this case. And that's why it's difficult, because sometimes characters have different meanings depending on the context they are used. Okay, over to alternation. I hope you're all still with me. We're getting through it. Alternation says, hey, regex, you can pick from this pattern or this pattern. Well, hang on, Captain Kadel. We just did the whole or with character sets and ranges. Yes and no. Character sets and ranges lets regex pick one character from a collection, whereas alternation lets regex pick between 2 different patterns, multiple characters. That's useful. We use the bar character to do the whole alternation thing. Let's see some real premium examples that I spent hours working on. Here, I'm searching for either hat or cap. So we find the first occurrence of hat or cap. Here, globally does as you'd expect, both hat and cap. But this is where it gets weird. I wanted to try and do look at my hat or look at my cap. But when I flip the words hat and cap around, I only get cap as the match. Why is that? Because alternation doesn't care. Everything to the left is a pattern, everything to the right is a pattern. So what I really did there was look at my hat or cap. Great. So to avoid that, you should limit the scope of the pieces that you are alternating. Put brackets around it. And now, hat and cap are the only bits that are being switched between. And yes, I do have a $7,000 Coursera course on really shitty examples for your very important presentations. Please sign up at the end. Next, we move on to character classes. These are very cool. They're just nicknames for other things we've already seen before. So, for example, we have backslash, and yes, this is where a backslash actually gives power as opposed to take it away. So lowercase d is any digit character. And we've seen that before in the character set 0 to 9, for example. Sorry, character range. But the best part about character classes is they often come with an uppercase counterpart that does the exact opposite. So lowercase d being any digit, uppercase D is any non-digit. And in a pinch, in a very important situation, I don't know what the example is, that can be quite useful. But of course, this comes with a stupid warning, because not all regex engines support character classes. I mean, most of them do. It's the 21st century. But just in case you've like pulled out an old Raspberry Pi 1 or whatever from the thing and you're like, why isn't this character class working? Then consider that. Now, finally, we're almost done with this bit, don't worry. We move on to the very infamous capture groups. Capture groups use normal brackets again. And basically anything that regex finds inside the brackets, it remembers. It saves for later in its memory. And we can refer back to that thing. I'll explain that a bit better in a second. But these are really, really powerful when you combine actual programming and capture groups. I'm sorry, regex. Programming and regex. These are really powerful. Let's see a closer example. Here I have the pattern. Name in the yellow bit, the first bit, is age in the second yellow bit, years old. Okay? Both of those are individual capture groups, you can tell by the brackets. And here's my test input. When I run that, Tom from MySpace, this matches, right? Tom is 23 years old, the whole thing matches, green light. But a byproduct we've got in blue is 2 capture group contents is saved in regex's memory. The first capture group contains whatever was in the brackets. So the word Tom is inside the first capture group, and we can now refer to it lovingly as \1. The second capture group, of course, contains whatever was in those brackets, so 23, and we can now refer to 23 as \2. What the hell are you talking about, Captain Kadel? Thank you for asking. Let me give you a more detailed example here. I changed it a little bit to make it fit on the massive screen, but basically my intention here was name is age, and then let's imagine I'm writing a really important report. I need to find the exact same name again in that line for some reason. So Tom is 23 Tom. This works, right? But I've just used the sort of name pattern again. And this would also work with a whole different name. So Tom is 23 Dan would work in this place, and that's not what I was hoping for. So instead, let's use the power of capture groups. In my pattern, I can change that second name pattern for \1. I'm saying to regex, hey, whatever you found in those first brackets, it needs to be right here again. Yeah? And now Tom is 23 Dan no longer works because it's looking for Tom is 23 and whatever was in the first capture groups. Oi, my examples are bad.
Structural anomaly detected. I believe it is a ship.
A ship?
Connection established.
Unforeseen circumstance. Zest melange. Interfering with communications.
K7, what are you doing, buddy? That's the voice from the crash. Have you been hacked? Who are you?
I'm your greatest nightmare. Ken Kadel.
Ken Kadel? The evil energy baron from Earth? What are you doing here? Wait, you're here for the regex.
Zest is the most powerful resource in the known universe. And now that I've finally found it, nothing's going to stand in my way.
You know what? Ken, me, and my crew, we're going to stand in your way.
K7, destroy remaining crew members.
Uh-oh. Alright, K7, a lightsaber. I don't want to hurt you, buddy. Put it down. Let's 2 lightsabers is a bit overkill, buddy. Alright, let's go. What the hell? This is insane. Where'd you get 3 lightsabers? Alright, do you know what? I have a better idea. Watch this. Pocket Zest. Yeah.
Captain, my sincerest apologies. I believe I am compromised and being remotely controlled.
K7, you back? What the hell do we do, buddy? I think the Zest will only hold them off for so long.
There must be a foreign component within my circuitry.
Yeah, you're right. But you're made of Kotlin, so this isn't a problem. We'll pop you open, have a look, and fix you using the world's greatest programming language. I fucking hate that transition. Okay, over to the Kotlin of it all. It all begins and ends with this fabulous regex class, as you expect, that's part of Kotlin's standard library. Now, this is actually built on top of Java's pattern class, which is Java's implementation of a regex engine. So if you've already know that, then you're like 20 steps ahead. There's loads of documentation online. I'm not going to bore you with that. I'm going to show you how to use it, okay? But again, links in the link tree. To begin with, we need to instantiate one of these regex classes. And we can do that either using the constructor, the one at the top, passing in our pattern as a string, or use the fabulous string extension function to regex. They both give you the exact same thing. That's exactly what you need. You can use them interchangeably. Quick side note about strings, right? This string here is legit regex, but it's not legit Kotlin because you've escaped something. So in order to get this through Kotlin, you have to escape the escape, and now it's no longer proper regex, and it's...
Brother,
Exactly. Disgusting. So my top tip here, and what I always do because I'm lazy, is use raw strings. That's 3 quotes either side, and Kotlin now goes, yep, whatever's in that is a string, I don't care. And regex, you can actually write proper regex as you're supposed to, not having to fight the compiler. Cool, back to it. When we created our regex thing last time, we had the place for flags like G and M. We do have the same thing in Kotlin. It's just called regex options in blue. When we instantiate our object, we need to define, if we want any of them, regex objects. And they're one-to-one here. Ignore case, multi-line. But wait, those of you with a keen eye will be like, yo, Ben. Sorry, Captain Kadel. It's formal. Where's the global flag? Now, don't worry, I'll show you why there is no global flag option in about 30 seconds, because I want to show you the functions that we get access to with this class. I've tried to group them to make them logically the same. First, we have our find, our locate functions. The find function finds the first occurrence of a pattern, right? And some of you are like, oh, I see what's going on here. Whereas the find all function finds every occurrence of a pattern. So that's why we don't have a global flag, because we just do it using functions. Groovy. Now we have the matches functions. You know, does this pattern match some of this, all of it, some of it in a specific location? We've got splits. You can split a string using regex, which is really, really powerful if ever you do like advent of code kind of stuff. And of course, we've got find and replaces and so on and so forth. There's loads of functions. I'll let you dig into those in your own time. But I would like to draw your attention to the output of several of these functions. This match result thing, what the hell is that? Match result is Kotlin's answer and encapsulation for a single regular expression having been triggered and the result of that. So basically the result of your regex is in this class. We have things like the value, what did it find? We have the range, where did it find it? And we have this groups collection, this very weird groups collection that contains match groups. What the hell are they? They're sort of capture groups, sort of with an asterisk. Why asterisk? Because of this. The very first entry in that collection, the 0 index, will always 100% be the entire match, not the capture groups, the entire match. Whereas every entry after that, the index 1, the 2, and so on, will be the capture group contents if you used capture groups. And that's why it's just a little bit of an asterisk, because that 0 index. But we have this destructed parameter, which gives us back, if we ask for it, just the contents of the capture groups, omitting the 0 index. Why is that useful? Let me give an example. Now this is terrifying. Ugh! Kotlin code and regex for the first time. It's a lot. But let's break it down. To begin with, I'm instantiating my regex option. I'm passing in my string pattern, and yes, I'm aware we haven't done the whole brackets question mark thing. That's coming in about 5 minutes, I promise, bear with me. But this pattern is basically asking for number, followed by the word euros, number, followed by the word hours. You can kind of see where this is going. In 2 capture groups. Here's my test input. Tim earns 10 euros every 2 hours. You're probably getting the picture. When we run our regex with the global flag on this input, we're going to take all of our matches, use the destructed parameter, just get the capture group contents. So it should be like the first number in the first one, the second number in the second one. And see, we can like, you know, the whole Kotlin destructed thing, we can assign them names, so amount and hour, and then we can do whatever salary calculation we want to do. Now, if this was terrifying, which it pretty much is, please don't panic, because this code and all of the code you see are in a repository, which is in the link tree. You can consume it at your own pace. Okay, folks, crew, K7, good news and bad news. Good news is we were able to find inside your circuitry this illegal KB Industries communication chip. That's how you were getting hacked, buddy, but we also found this, a location beacon welded onto your nuclear battery, and we can't remove it without destroying you.
Does that mean that whilst I am functional, I am broadcasting the location of Planet Regex to Ken Kadel?
We believe so, buddy, yeah.
We cannot allow him to locate this planet and control the valuable zest.
No, you're right, don't worry, we have a plan. Me, the crew, and you, with the location beacon, will get on that very conveniently placed ship and get the hell off this rock and bring Ken Kadel to the authorities. Let's do it. Acting, I'm walking onto a ship. Acting. Goodness! A very pristine, conveniently placed alien ship. Look at this! Wow! One more problem. This control panel is all in alien gobbledygook garbage. I can't understand a single piece of it. But some of you with a keen eye again might recognize this input if you're a nerd like me and did Advent of Code last year. Because this is the input Advent of Code Day 3 gave us. It asked us to do two things. First, we needed to go through that input and find every instance of the word mul with brackets and numbers. Multiply them, add them all up, rubbish. But part 2 was what caught my eye. We need to do the same thing as part 1, find every mul, but only include into our calculations the mul that had been turned on. And turning on means that it had the word do somewhere in front of it and not the word don't. Ooh. So let's dive into part 1. This is very, very easy and quick. This is maybe not the best way to do things. In fact, we could have put capture groups inside my brackets for each numbers. But anyway, fast. We need to search out all of the muls in my text. We're using find all. We're going to get a list like this, mul, blah, 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 and then we can use some sort of string manipulation function to pull those numbers out. Boring. Part 2 is interesting because we know how to find muls. We just did it. But how do we look around a mul? In this case, particularly look behind a mul before where it came to see if the word do or don't is there. And this brings us on to one of Kotlin's Regex's most complex topics, the idea of lookarounds. Brace yourselves, this is crazy shit. We have two types of lookarounds, look-aheads, which is basically from where I'm reading now, continue reading, continue looking on to make sure that a pattern is there, positive look ahead, or keep reading to make sure a pattern isn't there, negative look ahead. And we have the same with look behinds, except you don't go forward, you go back from where you came. Now, these are complicated, but anytime you see a bracket and a question mark, you've got some sort of look around, right? But these are powerful because they are called zero width assertions, which means they don't consume anything. What the hell does that mean? Thank you again for asking. Let me give you a more detailed example, what the power of that is. Here's that regex we had before from my salary input. Let's digest it a little bit better now. We've got in blue, capture groups, and in yellow, those positive look-aheads. The first positive look-ahead is looking for exactly space euros. The second positive look-ahead is looking for space hour or space hours. Cool. Let's run this like regex would to understand it. First, we're going to find our digit character. And I've just drawn a blue line because I want to visually show you where the capture group is wrapping, what's in the capture group. From this position, the positive look ahead happens. Regex sends out a little scout. It doesn't consume it, just a scout to look ahead to make sure space hours is there. It is. So it reports back to the main pointer. It's there. And look what happens. There's a match. The digit is a match. The capture group in blue is closed, but the word euros is not in the capture group. It is not consumed. Ooh. Then we have dot star, any character, any amount of time, until we hit the next digit, and the same thing happens again. Positive look ahead for hours, reports back, and just the number is captured. The weird positive look ahead is not consumed. And that's really useful because we can actually have information that we care about in our capture groups and not the word hours or euros. And here, euros is consumed, but not as part of the capture group, as part of the dot star. Nice. Here's a couple more examples. I'm just going to throw them up on screen and you can sort of digest them. But my intention here was to show you positive look ahead, negative look ahead, positive look behind, negative look behind with these different variations, just to show the consumption of it all. Let's just take the first one, right? The first one, I'm saying X should be followed by Y and Z. It is, so X is the match, Y and Z are not consumed. Make sense? All good? Okay, great. Then I got weird because I thought to myself, what happens if I put a positive, I've got to remember which one this is, a positive look behind after the character I'm searching. So here, my intention was to say Y is preceded by X, which it is, but this fails. Why? Let's take a closer look how regex actually does this. It first of all finds our Y character, and it says, yep, there's Y, match, great. The main pointer then takes a step on. The Y has been consumed. It doesn't care anymore. It's moved on. But the positive look behind is also here. And at this location, it sends out the positive look behind to check specifically for the character X. It's not there, of course, because Y is there, and that is why we fail. Now, you can avoid this by adding a padding character, a wildcard character, or avoid doing this stupid shit in the first place. Part 2 now can be solved with some complex regex. This is not me saying this is the best solution, not at all. This is me saying this is a solution and that it's possible with regex and some fancy Kotlin work. But this pattern looks terrifying. Let's break it down. We hopefully now understand each and every piece of this. First, we're looking for a do with brackets, because logically I'm thinking, I kind of don't care about any mul unless it comes after a do, so let's look for a do. Then, I'm doing a negative look ahead for a don't. That highlighted bit on its own would only immediately look after the do. So it'd go do, don't. That's not what we want. So we need to add this bit of fancy footwork. This dot character, the wildcard character, to consume a character. So now what happens is it does a don't check and consumes. Then the asterisk character to say do all of that over and over again. So it's going to go don't consume, don't consume, don't consume. And now we have that sort of infinite look ahead or look behind, whatever. The mul here is superfluous. It doesn't matter. It just means our search will end with a mul. When we run this pattern, we'll get lots of these kind of outputs. A lot of string, it'll start with a do, it'll have lots of muls in it, but there won't be a single don't. Then we can use the function from the first thing to rip out the muls, whatever we want to do, just to showcase that with some really weird ass regex, you can solve some complex problems like this. I don't know what's going on anymore, I've lost my mind. Okay folks, I think I understand this weird alien console now. Let's press some buttons and see if the ship works. I think it's working. We're gonna take off. Oh.
My diagnostics indicate that the ship's battery is entirely depleted.
What the hell do we do about that, K7?
It requires jump-starting with an extremely powerful alternate power source.
And where the hell are we going to find a power source on this barren planet?
I know where.
You know where? Where, K7? Where are you going, buddy? Look. What are you doing outside?
I, Captain, am the alternative power source. My compromised battery, to be precise.
Okay, that sounds good. How would that work and why are you stood outside?
I can transfer the remaining voltage to the ship. Not only would the ship be able to take off, but the process would result in my exploding, along with the location beacon.
Exploding? No. K7, we're not doing that. We will find another way, buddy.
Thus stopping Ken Kadel from locating Planet Regex.
K7, this is a command. Get back on the ship. We will find another way.
Thank you, Captain. It has been an honor serving by your side.
K7, don't do this, buddy. K7, come back. We'll find another way. K7. He did it. He sacrificed himself for me, for you, for Earth, for Planet Regex. We'll never forget you, brother. Oh, feelings. Disgusting. Thank you all very, very much for coming to my crazy ass talk. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Anyway, thank you. I hope you learned a little something about Regex and Kotlin. On the screen there is my socials. Thank you so much. My socials, please reach out to me, berate me about this dumbass talk. Links, this is the important one. The links to the link tree. You can learn so much about everything that I briefly covered and so much more. There's so many amazing tools out there that exist. And I, of course, am one of those assholes that has my very own branded merch. So I have like some stickers. I've got last year's, if you saw Crime Scene Investigator, I've got last year's Refi stickers, very limited edition. And of course, this year's the marvelous Rest in Peace K7 stickers. So if you want some of those, please find me and just ask for them. Thank you again for your time. Have a great, awesome day and a great rest of DroidCon London.